I have put together a means of controlling a synthesizer with PlayStation 4 controller. I call it the WayStation. So here's the main screen. It's just a digitally reduced model of a PlayStation 4 controller. The model itself can be controlled by the gyroscopes within the controller, but I have those disabled by default until they actually become more useful. But if you want to have an idea of what that looks like, it's kind of like this, which is cool. So someday that will be more important, but for now, since this is just literally a controller, we're just going to leave that disabled. So where to begin? Primarily, we're able to set the key and mode. I believe right now we're in C Lydian by default. I'm going to be adding controls for swapping that out later. That'll be on the D-pad. But for now, let's just see what that sounds like. You'll notice that I'm holding the right trigger in order to trigger the note. If I don't have it depressed, then nothing's happening. When I hold it down, it re-triggers each time it gets a new note value. And you can see that it's divided into 14 segments, 13, I guess. Here's the root note, 3rd, 5th, 7th, and then an octave up, 3rd, 5th, 5th, 7th. And each time it goes between the last segment and the first segment, depending on which way you're going between the two. It shifts up an octave or down an octave. So yeah, this is the root chord. The chords are controlled with the left joystick. So right now we're on the 1 chord of C Lydian. But then we're going to go up to the 2 chord, 3, 4, and that's with sevenths enabled. You can see down here we have triad sevenths and extensions with 9s. If we go down, I think, on the D-pad right now, it's just triads. Just a nice major chord. Up twice to 9s. And then it actually goes back down. All right, so that is all with the chord select mode enabled. So that's, the chord that you have on the left joystick determines the notes over here. Let's go back down to 7s. But we can switch to diatonic by clicking the left joystick in watch the size of the segmentation on the right joystick. It shrinks because now we have 12 notes. And this is not affected by the chord that is set anymore. It's just diatonic. So we can switch back and forth between those, which is really nice. You can see there's a little bit of jumping of the segmentation. I'll fine-tune that later. One more thing. On the right joystick, we can actually switch to a continuous glissando by depressing the right joystick button, clicking it in, and now it's kind of like a theremin situation or like a pitch bend. And of course, we wouldn't be playing synthesizer without a mod wheel. So that's the R2 trigger back there. And that's the basic control functionality of like what notes you're playing. Now we're gonna move on to the really fun stuff, which is first of all, the omnichord that is built in. It's on by default using the touchpad. So the vertical height is the velocity of the note that's hitting the synthesizer. So down here, very quiet. The higher you go, the louder it gets. Also supports up to 2 inputs at once. And this is also, the touchpad is also a button. When you click it, I have it set to freeze the omnichord chord that's playing. So that'll just continue playing. So that's fun to play around with. And then we have the ability to apply changes to the parameters of the synthesizer, both the omnichord and the lead synth. So we're going to check those out first. We access the menu with the, it's on the PS4 controller, it says share, but I just think of this as the left joystick menu select button. So this is omnichord as default. Basically what we're doing here is controlling what the pad is actually going to control. So I'm going to go over to synth params, and we have all this good stuff. So lead additive, this is currently the only oscillator source for what's happening. We can change by adding partials, harmonics. Of course, the more partials you add, the closer it gets to from going from a sine wave to a triangle. We just add all of them. But we're gonna just go back down here. Maybe we'll keep some high ones in there. Just for a little more buzziness. Oh, also the L1 button also triggers. So if you want to do multiple hits quickly, which is fun when we change the attack and reduce sustain. Oops. And we also have this interesting little thing that I've been playing around with where you can change the frequency of individual partials. So we're departing from the harmonic series. I'm going to turn the sustain back up. So this one starts from the middle. It's the same as the additive control, but instead we're curving individual partials up and down. Of course, if the partial is not enabled, it's not going to work. So let's add those back in. So what's happening here is whatever harmonic this is, it's plus or minus up to I think 0.01%, maybe 0.5. So you can hear there it's getting a little discordant. So it's kind of like a mixture between additive synth and frequency modulation, but we're only modulating the frequencies of the harmonics in the additive synth. Kind of just gives it a little more texture. And of course, we can do the same thing for the omnichord as well. Everything having to do with the omnichord. These are the default settings for the omnichord, the ADSR. Let's add some partials. And then modify the frequency modulation of the partials. And then go back to omnichord mode. So obviously this is all very fun. Synth FX, let's get even more fun. We have all this good stuff here. The saturation. Cut off. You'll notice, of course, that none of the parameters are actually labeled. I'm going to get around to that, but I couldn't wait. Needed to make this video. Delay. And currently, the reverb and delay also apply to the omnichord. And I believe that that's what I have so far. I have a few other things that I'd like to add. So you can see I have a little to-do list in here. I want to be able to adjust the key mode and extensions using the D-pad. I also need to create display for that. Same thing for the portamento, which I didn't even get into, but you could hear that there's a little bit of portamento happening between the notes. I want to be able to save the effects and the additive and FM mod, ADSR, etc., as presets, so that I can just switch back and forth between something better for keep playing in the background and something better for a lead, different settings for different songs, that kind of thing. There's no indicators right now for whether or not either the R or L buttons are being depressed. Label parameters, yeah, ADSR is self-explanatory, but like, who knows what I was doing with the delay settings. And of course, I want to add more oscillator types. I also want to be able to support samples, load in mellotrons, actually record live samples, all that good stuff. I also want to add, right now the vibrato is just being used for the mod wheel, but I want to add a vibrato just to run by itself. So that's the WayStation. Way in WayStation, of course, refers to the way, as in Tao or Tao. You may have noticed the little boat intro. That was something I added yesterday just for fun. It's from the I guess a parable of the empty boat from, I believe, from Zhuangzi's book. Good stuff. But yeah, WayStation. Enjoy. Yeah, I'm going to keep working on this forever, probably. Lots of stuff in the future. Thanks for watching.